Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for March 12th, 2013. It's currently 8:17 a.m. and we have some warm conditions out there. Now, normally we should be in the mid to upper 30s at this point, but we're actually in the upper 40s to mid 50s ahead of a cold front and a nice southeasterly wind anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Those winds will veer to the southwest and eventually towards the northwest as a cold front moves through. Ahead of that cold front, temperatures will continue to rise into the lower to mid 50s over the interior and mid to upper 50s over the Philadelphia metropolitan area. The New York City metropolitan area will stay right around the lower to mid 50s, especially around Long Island where we're going to get that wind right off the ocean, whether the wind's from the southeast or southwest. So overall, look for periods of heavy rain today. Why? Well, let's take a look at the radar and you can see why. There's plenty of heavy rain here. Now you can kind of make out the cold front right here, and then it kind of pivots down right over here. Now, the reason why is you're seeing an area of low pressure starting to develop right around Western Virginia and West Virginia, right around here. And as that low pressure system develops, some of this rain is going to back build a bit, and we're going to end up with periods of moderate to heavy rain throughout the day into about the early evening hours. Let's say around 6 p.m. will start to clear out, and by 7 p.m. most locations will start to clear out nicely. However, basically the morning and evening rush hour is going to be wet, it's going to be dreary, and it's going to be a bit of a nuisance with this moderate to heavy rain, with some moderate to major ponding on the roadways, and even the potential for a few areas of localized flash flooding, especially where you have that poor drainage. Otherwise, just a normal spring cold front. No severe thunderstorms, though. That's the good news here. We do have some embedded elevated thunderstorms that will produce some heavy downpours. Wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour is possible, and an occasional lightning or thunder throughout the day. Taking a look at the infrared satellite picture, I think you can pretty much clearly make out the cold front here. We're seeing an area of low pressure trying to develop around Western Virginia here. That will spawn and lift northeast. It's going to remain weak as the primary low pressure system is going to be up here in Ontario, moving into Quebec, driving that cold front through, and with it, some fresh polar air, knocking our temperatures back down towards the upper 40s to lower 50s. No, it's not incredibly cold at all, just a bit of a return back to slightly below normal temperatures before we rebound once again to near to slightly above normal temperatures as our spring pattern continues to evolve and our storm track lifts north. Now here we have the water vapor satellite picture. Here's what's left over of our nuisance storm that continues to sit here and spin in the Atlantic, slowly, very slowly moving east and supporting a nice negative NAO block. Here's our low pressure system lifting up towards the Canadian Maritimes. And of course, here's our cold front. Now notice here's our subtropical jet stream feeding plenty of moisture with this cold front, but then it ends up pretty dry out here in the Pacific. And we also have a nice strong Pacific jet driving right into the west coast here. This tells us right here with this nice big storm out here in the eastern Pacific that we're going to be entering a moderation trend very slowly. And what that basically means is that we're going to see our storm track slowly push north with each passing low pressure system. So, for example, this weekend we'll probably see, or should I say early next week, we'll see one area low pressure move right over the northern mid-Atlantic, and then we'll see another low pressure system later on next week driving a little bit further north, let's say towards northeastern Pennsylvania and the Hudson River Valley. And with each passing low pressure system, we'll see a further and further north track as basically low pressure systems start to dig into the west and drive towards the Great Lakes. So basically the first one does this. Oh, let me try that again. It does this. Then the next one does this. And then finally we start ending up with a pattern where the low pressure systems dive down, move through the southern plains, produce a lot of severe weather, and then lifts up this way with us under a nice strong ridge. Weather patterns do not switch like a light switch, they slowly evolve. And that's what we're doing right now. We're slowly evolving into our spring weather pattern. So here's our weather model of the day, the European model guidance. This is what I'm using. Now, pretty much the European and the GFS all pretty much are in agreement. So there really isn't a lot of volatility in this forecast now. So here we are for this evening. Our cold front moves through. Here's our new low pressure system developing. By this evening, it will be up around Albany or so, right around the capital district of New York. And as a result, that cold front will slowly move through, with our temperatures remaining in the 50s and falling through the 40s and eventually the upper 30s this evening. So be sure to have a jacket because you'll need it later on this evening. High pressure will take control for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday, with tranquil weather conditions. But notice our temperatures are a bit cool here. Now, our coolest day is going to be on Thursday, with temperatures in the lower to mid 40s as that polar air really infiltrates the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. This isn't like brutally cold, but you'll definitely feel it compared to the 50s. And especially with a nice little northwesterly wind, it'll feel more like the upper 30s. However, for the rest of the weekend, we moderate nicely and rebound nicely into the upper 40s to mid 50s, pretty much near normal. Now, by Monday, we see one area of low pressure kind of moving towards the Philadelphia, New York City metropolitan area. We have a few scattered showers. Don't expect any real snow threat here at all, because even though the 850 millibar temperatures are relatively warm, notice our storm track is pretty much from the Ohio River Valley towards New England, which means we have an easterly wind and temperatures in the 40s. And then later on in the forecast period, we have a nice area of low pressure kind of developing out here by the Canadian Maritime. So notice yesterday we had a big storm setting up off of the mid-Atlantic coast, and now we're seeing that storm track much further north. I'm expecting one to kind of this is basically to shift south over the next couple of days as far as the forecast, with a low pressure track basically towards northeastern Pennsylvania and then towards southern New England. Not a major storm for us, but certainly the potential for some rain. So as you can see, our weather pattern is evolving nicely. Our high latitude blocking is starting to slowly shift north. And look what we're starting to see here. Trough in the west, ridge starting to build in the east. This is going to be the big battle zone here, as this upper level low and this whole high latitude block here slowly gives way. There's going to be a nice little battle here between the polar / marine air mass that's sitting up here that will be transported south, and the very warm air sitting up over the southern plains that will be transported to the north. And that leads to a nice clash somewhere around the mid-Atlantic as we move forward through the rest of the month. So certainly some interesting times ahead with backdoor cold fronts, but not necessarily winter storms. So that is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. You can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Of course, you can get even more weather data and knowledge and discussions via premium discussions, only $10 a month. And also coming soon, I'll have merchandise so you can own your very own shirt from NYNJPA Weather, or stickers or hats or whatever you choose. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.